All right, guys, how's it going? Today we're working on this BMW M3, obviously with the S55 engine. We're going to be replacing the valve cover, the whole unit, because these are notorious for having that whistle whenever it drives or idles. You'll hear like a whistle sound coming from it. It's pretty annoying, and it's basically something to do with the valve cover and PCV system. So here we go. We're gonna start removing all the things. I'm gonna give you guys a good tutorial. So here we go. So first thing we need is some room up in here. So we're gonna move this cowl right here, and these are pretty easy. It's just a 10 millimeter, and usually the arrows go pointed like this. You just untwist them like that, and this becomes loose. And you take these off. Do the same thing on that one too. All right, so we took out the 2 plastic cowls, which then lets you remove these 3 bolts that go here, which then you can remove this whole carbon fiber brace almost, as long as you remove this bolt right here. And then just like that, this comes off. Now you can just remove this beauty cover. This is just a beauty cover. Since we took off all the plastic right there, we took off our rubber that goes right here. Now we need to remove this big brace right here with some Torx bolts. You can see there's like 4 right here, more on that side, and that brace is going to come off. And then we can start removing this intake and all the other stuff. And then once you remove the carbon support brace, you remove this aluminum one. Disconnect these sensors right here, so you can feed it through. A few bolts, they're all Torx here, here, and there's 2 big 17 millimeters that hold it down right there. Just repeat the same thing on that side. Like I said, remove the cover and the cable, and this should just come out like that. You can see, comes on out pretty light. I could probably take it out with one hand, just like that. So the last thing left would be this plastic right here. It's a bit harder plastic, looks like some 10 millimeters. That way we have a lot of room, and we can just remove these pipes, and then this cover will just come up just like that. We won't have to scoot it or anything. So I have some 10 millimeters right here. Remove this plastic cover and go from there. All right, so just remove the hose clamp right here. Take this off, disconnect this as well. It's just one 10 millimeter bolt right there. Move this out of the way. And then same thing with this air box. I think we just pull it out, and it should get out of the way, even though it's not really in the way, but we'll just take it off. And then next thing we need is these J pipes, whatever they're called. The hose clamps right here. Disconnect that right there, and then some Torx that hold that one down, and that hold this one down as well right there. And then we'll pretty much start really getting in there, and we'll almost be where we're supposed to be. All right, so we took out the J pipes. You know, 1 screw there, they just pop off. The clamps up there, they pop off. Pretty basic. The airbox came out. I removed the coils. Those are pretty easy. You just flip these things up, and then the plug comes out, and you just pull them out. Nothing crazy. 8 millimeter nut right here to hold down these grounds for the injectors, I believe. The next thing we need is to get a little pick like this right here, and we pry this little tab and take out these connectors. These are a bit tricky, but as we can see, took it out like that. It's just one tab right there that you have to pry and then pull them out. And then I removed this little harness bolt right here, and one right there. That way when we remove all the cables, we'll be able to scoot this out of the way. And we're almost pretty much there. I think all we need left is these fuel lines right here, which is gonna squirt out a little bit of fuel. But then we just move these fuel lines out of the way, and for the most part we should be ready to take off the valve cover. All right, I forgot where I last left off, but basically we removed these O2 sensors, all the cables that go right here. They just go clipped on right here. You unclip them. And then I started removing the fuel lines, which it's a 17 millimeter for the big one and a 14 millimeter for the small ones. You put a towel right here so it doesn't spill all over. And then this heat exchanger, whatever it's called, I just lifted it up. As you can see, I put a hammer here this rubber part. You can put anything in here, just so I can reach the bolts that go under here. You can see one that goes right there, one that goes right there as well. That way we can take off this whole fuel line assembly because it needs to come out. And then we can finally start to remove the valve cover after I remove these cables, and the valve cover should just pop up. All right, the fuel rail is out. You just have to wiggle it, play with it, lift this up a little bit more. But as you can see, I did not take this off, disconnect any hoses. Now I just removed these two plastic holders that were here, one there, and this scoots over, and now pretty much there's nothing, absolutely nothing in the way from this to come out. So we're just gonna start loosening up all the bolts, that way we can pull it out and we'll go from there. All right, so all the bolts are loose, as you can see. Now I like to pry it right here in this corner. Be very careful not to scratch up the mating surface, but right there, make sure all of them are loose. If it doesn't come off easy like this, that means something is still stuck, and stop pulling on it. But here it comes out. You guys get the point. You just pull it out, and yeah, it just comes out. All right, so I took it out pretty easy. Put it in, go in like a star pattern to tighten them down to I think it's 9 Newton meters or 10 Newton meters. Yeah, 10 Newton meters. Tighten them down all crisscross, and then next thing up would be the fuel line, and then everything in reverse order. I did have to transfer over some clips, like these clips right here. Clip, this grommet, all that stuff I had to transfer over from the old one to the new one, obviously. But other than that, it's pretty basic, honestly. All right, here we are. Like I said, I put the fuel line on, put the bolts right there, tighten down these fuel lines, make sure they are tight. And then that intercooler thing, whatever it's called, we just put it back down. Nothing really big to that. And then, like I said, I torqued everything down. Now I'm put all the coils in. Once the coils are in, I'm gonna put all these wires together. And basically, after this, I want to say it's just like a puzzle. Put most of that stuff back on, and you're good to go. Hopefully, the whistling is now gone from the car. But most likely it will be, because these things are notorious for whistling when idling because of the valve cover and something about the PCV or something like that. But yeah, that's how I think we're basically done at this point. I'm still gonna do little clips here and there, and there you have it. Whistling is gone. Don't know what else to say. Everything else just bolts back on pretty basic.